right, let me share my quiz part again, and we'll get back into the quiz. Let me see how many more we got to do here. All right, 1, 2, 3, and ooh, we got 3 more to do. 3 more to do. Okay. So we got a few. All right, so let's go back to the quiz. There we go. Come on, switch. Oh, I got to switch off this. There we go. Lots of buttons to push. Lots of buttons to push. Okay, there we go. Okay, so here we have the last one. How much revenue do we get from search traffic? We figured that was $2,574.71. And let us go into the next one, which I think is going to be remarkably similar. So I will not put a whole lot of time on it. Maybe I'll let me put a bit of extra time on it. Let me go. How do I do this now? I want to go to question 3. There we go. Okay. What was the overall bounce rate for search traffic? And I'll leave this at 2 minutes. Let's see how we do. All right, I think we're getting it. There's a few not yet answered, but let's move on. And so what do we see now? We see that. What was this? And we see what was the. I don't know what people think this was. Okay, so we see that. Just under majority thought that it was. Oh, sorry, no, 3 out of 4. 3 out of 4 thought it was 46.47%. There we go. I'm reading my numbers wrong. So what was the overall bounce rate for search traffic? Well, let's have a look. At Google Analytics. And we're going to keep the same segment, but instead of looking at this crazy mess of e-commerce, we are going to go into our, which one did I say to go to? I said to go to the channels report. So what we can do is we can just type in channels. Here we go, all traffic channels. And that should give us what we need. Right, there we go. Sorry, there we go. And we're looking at the overall bounce rate. Sorry, I just closed all my windows by accident. Gotta get back to it. There we are. 1 second. Okay, there we go. Now I'm feeling normal again. All right, and so we have bounce rate for each of the different channels here, where we can look at, by all users in search traffic. Oh, of course, search traffic is only going to be 1. So anyway, the overall bounce rate for all of search traffic is up here at the top, and it is indeed 46.47%. And so the people were right. 1 second, I am lost everything. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the quiz now. There we go. And that was correct. Well done. All right, 2 more. So let's do the next one. I think this is another 2-minute one. I don't think this will be long. New versus returning. So that's a different report than we're used to. What was the e-commerce conversion rate for returning visitors who arrived by search traffic? So it's kind of like a double segment. So let's see if we can get that one. New versus returning, which already is a segment. What was the e-commerce conversion rate for returning visitors who arrived by search traffic? All right, how are we doing here? How are we doing here? Hopefully a bit better. Oh, no, we're not. Okay, so we need a little bit more time. Let me throw on another minute if I can. Just try this. This is gonna work. It is not gonna work. Why is that not work? Oh, there we go. Oh, it's thrown on another 3 minutes. Hold on. All right, anyway, we'll have to live with it. So try this. Get to the new versus returning users report. Let me throw on another minute. I will throw on 2 minutes in total. This is getting, sorry, they've changed the way that they've done this. Okay, so new versus returning report. What was the e-commerce conversion rate for returning visitors who arrived by search traffic? So the first thing you need to do is get to that report and look at that segment, the new versus returning segment. Then try and find the statistic that is important. Oh, no, we got a few seconds left. A few seconds left there. 30 seconds left. Have a guess. All right, let's have a look and see. And what did the crowd think? What did the crowd think of this one? The crowd thinks, okay, we got 55%. The just over the majority goes 0.19% was the e-commerce conversion rate for returning visitors who arrived via search traffic. Okay, so what we need to do to solve this little puzzle, seems to be challenging for some, is the first thing we need to do is we need to go to the new versus returning report. So if we just do search, all I had to type in was new. So all you have to do is remember a little bit of the report and you can find it, no problem. New versus returning report. So now we have the segments on search traffic. So we're only looking at people who came from search traffic. And we see that the search traffic people have completed, conversion rate of 0.21% for purchase completed, right? So that is it. We want the e-commerce conversion rate though. Aha, maybe that was the problem. Because for some reason mine has gotten stuck on purchase completed and maybe yours has as well. So I had to change this to e-commerce in order to see the right data. And that's important actually. Maybe that was a bit unfair and a bit difficult to do is that we didn't really talk about changing that. But yeah, you need to see the right data there. So you want to see the e-commerce conversion rate. We see the e-commerce conversion rate overall for search traffic is 0.16%. But if we look down, we see for new visitors, it's 0.15. For returning visitors, it is the 0.19% that the majority thought. So good job, crowd. Good job, crowd. All right. Oh, now, of course, it's going to complain because I changed the time. There we go. Let's make sure. Try it again. There we go. Boom and boom. Excellent. Excellent. Okay. Okay. Last one. Last one. And this should be relatively easy as long as you're following along. Although it still will be a little bit of a challenge. So I'm going to say, let's say, yep, 2 minutes probably still okay. New versus returning, same report. What was the e-commerce conversion rate for returning visitors who arrived via organic traffic? And I'm going to leave that with you. I'm going to leave that with you to figure out. All right, we're doing good answers here. Good answers. All right, let's have a look and see how we have done. All right, one moment. There we go. Let's see what the crowd think. What did the crowd think? 2 out of 3. 2 out of 3 picked 0.20. 2 out of 3 picked 0.20. Let's see how that figured that out. Okay, so there's a little bit of a trick question there. A little bit of a trick. In that the real thing to get out of this wasn't that it was a new versus returning. We're already in the report. The e-commerce conversion rate. Hopefully we all got that. And then we saw where we got the returning visitors was down in the dimension, right? Because the dimension's another segment. But now we look, instead of search traffic, we need organic traffic. So then we have to recall, where did we get that search traffic bit from? Well, we got it from the segment up here. And so what we need to do is we can just add another segment. We go in here, we click on organic traffic, and we add another segment. And I think you can add 5 or something in total. And you keep going. And now instead of just looking at search traffic, now we're looking at organic traffic. And I think there is a bit of an overlap, actually, between organic and search, obviously. But we see that there is a very slight differential for returning visitors. They had 4,495 search traffic, 4,278 organic traffic. And we see that, yes, there we go, 0.20%. Very similar, but not quite the same. Not quite the same. So the crowd, I believe, in this case was correct. Excellent. Well done, crowd. Well done. Well done. And now I just like, okay, so that is the last one of this group, I do believe. Yep. Okay, so we'll wait for the next one to do the next one. And let me just show you, let's say our multi-game rankings here. And we see that Fish Stargazer is still at number 1, Flower Tarner at number 2, and Angel Stargazer there at number 3. So well done. Well done, top 3. And you can see the rest of them on your own. See how well we're doing. And yeah, it's not easy. Not easy. 50 points, a lot to do in order to get that sort of score. So well done. All right, so that is it for, I'm going to say, about audience analytics. So it's a matter of just sort of coming up with an idea and researching a segment and trying to figure out what you can do to improve things for that segment. Okay, that is really the essential of the the audience analytics. So now there is like one type of audience that is sort of special. And so, as I say, your audience can be the demographics. It can be that they're a returning customer. It can be their location, their device, all these things. But one particular audience is special, and that is where they came from on to your website. And that is called channel analytics. Just get this right here. And so we started off with channel analytics before with the channel report. And the channel report is great. It's perfect. It's really, really good thing to do when you first crack open Google Analytics on any website. And you look at the all pages report, you see which pages are important. Yes, that's first step. That's like kind of like the easiest thing to do. But next, go and look at the channels report, because the channels report will tell you, is the online business successful? Are they getting traffic from free sources like organic search, direct and referral? Or are they paying for every single person to come to the site, in which case it's going to be very hard to monetize it? And the reason is actually because the web is now relatively mature, and whatever it is you offer, you're going to have some competition, just about. And so if you're paying for everyone to come to your site, there's going to be someone else out there who isn't paying for everyone. Okay, they're going to be getting the free traffic. You're getting the paid traffic. They're getting the free traffic. And they can do more with pricing. They can do more with offers. They are essentially going to have a leg up. They may not win. You may have a better product. You may have better customer service. You may have, I don't know, better ads. I don't know what it is. But you will be at a disadvantage if you're not getting free traffic. And so the channels report is really, really important for looking at where your traffic comes from and how much you're paying for each user, how much you're paying for each customer to acquire them. And yeah, it should be very closely watched for that. However, it is not the end of the story, okay? The channel report will show us the channel performance. And this is important. This is important because we want to know how much money we get from email, Google, and social media as a whole, so that we know where to allocate our resources, okay? If we don't know that information, we can't determine who we should be spending money on, or who should be doing what, or where should we, if we're alone, how we should be spending our time. And so businesses, though, do not think in terms of channels. Businesses don't. Business people don't want to hear about Google and email and social media. They want to hear about what they care about. And normally what business people care about is a campaign, some sort of promotional level. So for example, McDonald's at any given time may be running 3 different promotions. They may have a Samurai Burger, campaign 1. They may have a Seaweed Shaker Fries, number 2. And they may have the Durian McFlurry, number 3. And they don't want to know how many people came to their McDelivery site from Google. No, they want to know how many people came to their McDelivery site from the Durian McFlurry ad, or from Seaweed Shaker Fries, or Samurai Burger. And so then what you need to be able to do is to be able to figure out from all of the information that's available where your clicks are coming from. Now, this is possible to do with if you set up separate websites or maybe separate landing pages. But a lot of times businesses don't do that, right? They have a campaign, and that campaign all drives traffic to the same place. And so in which case, it's very difficult for them to know which campaign was successful, okay? Whether it was the, campaign 1 not very successful. Campaign 2, very successful. Campaign 3, the Durian McFlurry, kind of somewhere in between. Okay, it's very hard for businesses to know some of these things. And the thing is, Google, we'll go back to the channels report here. Google knows our channels somehow, which I'll explain in a minute, but it cannot know our campaigns, And so one part of being an analyst, right, is, or another long, tedious part of being an analyst is the fact that a lot of times you're asked for data that you don't have. And guess what? You are responsible for getting it, okay? It's not, when you're doing channel analysis, you can't just go, well, Google only captures the channel. Sorry, boss, I can't tell you how many Samurai Burgers or how your Samurai Burger ads are doing. It's just not possible. No, instead, you've got to go research it and find out. But luckily, Google is one step ahead of you. Google is one step ahead of you, and they have kind of figured this out, but it's not without some painful work. But anyway, first of all, I just want to show you, so Google somehow knows how people came to your site, somehow magically knows how people came to your site, that they came from social media, or that they came from a display ad, or organic search, or directly. Okay? How do they know that? Well, Google knows that from this thing that I pointed out yesterday called this HTTP header. And every time you click on a link to a website from social media, from search, from another website, from anywhere, from email, your browser sends a whole load of gobbledygook right here, all this stuff to the website, and Google Analytics intercepts it and sends it to Google. Okay. Now in there, and this is something most people don't know, your browser actually tells Google where you were before. That's how people know where you were before, because your browser tells them. It says, hi, I would like your homepage. Oh, and by the way, this is where I'm clicking the link from. Isn't that crazy? Your browser is all around snitching on everything that you do, telling everyone everywhere where you've just been. It's like you walked into a store and went, hi there, I've just been at McDonald's. And be like, really? Well, that's nice. It's like you are walking around the web telling everyone where you just were. Okay. And Google intercepts that and takes that information and goes, thank you very much. That's really interesting. I need that information so that my customers, my Google Analytics customers, can do their channel analytics. Okay. So this is possibly one of the most important technology part of the internet. Probably one of the things that really kind of changed everything is when they introduced this way back when, like 1994 or something. This referrer string that says, when I come to a website, I'm going to tell you where I came from. And it sort of stitches the web together. It lets websites know, where their traffic is coming from and doing channel analytics. And from there, you can really do some amazing things, which we'll go through in a bit. But first of all, we have to know, how does Google turn this referrer string into a default channel? How does it know that? So for example, this is analytics.google.com analytics app. So basically, this is my referrer string from when I was in Google Analytics and I clicked to the Google Merchandise Store. Okay, this is what I told them where I was. And how does Google take this and do anything? Well, it turns out that Google has a giant database of all of the different websites on the internet and what sort of click it would be. So Google will know if a click is from Google. Okay. Google will know if a click is from Facebook. Google will know if a click is from Google Merchandise Store. Google will also figure out if it's from direct. Okay. Now you don't have to remember all this stuff. This is like, unless you want to take the Google Analytics individual qualification, in which case you do need to remember this. But let's just do it. We're just for fun. We're just looking at it. So source is the name of the site. And so Google looks at that link where you were from and figures out where you were, what the name of the place was. Then not only that, it has to look and as another database that goes, well, I want to figure out what type of click that is. Was it organic, meaning that it was free? So was it from an unpaid search? Was it CPC, cost per click, meaning it was from the paid search product? Was it referral? So this one above, this one for me, that was a referral because I didn't pay. Google didn't pay itself to click. But a lot of sites do have referral clicks. I don't know if you've ever used Amazon's referral program. That's a referral click thing. Sorry, an affiliate click. So referral would be the free click. Affiliate would be a paid website click. But whatever it is, Google figures it out and then puts it in the right category in your channels report. However, that doesn't help you. That doesn't help you when you are trying to make your boss happy and tell him how many clicks his Samurai Burger ad got. Because Google just doesn't ever capture where your campaign is, because how will it know? What is it going to do? Read your ad and figure out that there's a Samurai Burger on that and go, yeah, it's a Samurai Burger campaign. No, sadly, no. Sadly, no. That would be great, but no, not yet. What has to happen is you have to tell Google. So now Google can pick up this source and this medium here, but you have to tell it, assigned by you. You have to tell Google what the campaign was, and optionally, you can tell it what the content is, okay? So that when you are an analyst and you are doing channel analytics, and somebody says to you, hi, I don't care about channels, I want to know campaigns, boom. It's on you to make sure that this data is filled in for every single click that comes from an ad. Isn't that nice? This is what I mean about getting data clean and getting data organized. It's not, being an analyst is not all it's cracked up to be. It can be a little bit of tedious work to make sure all this stuff works. And unfortunately, I think no matter what web analytics you use, no matter what analytics you use, you're going to have to do something like this for it to work. And I'll explain how to do it. But just to make sure you understand, Google will figure out the source of the medium. It figures out where your click is from. You have to say which campaign it is. Was it the spring sale? Was it the 20% off? Was it the McFlurry, during McFlurry? Was it the seaweed shaker fries? Don't know. Was it Singapore 18 to 22 female? You have to tell Google, otherwise they don't know. And then you can also say what ad it's from, although I have to say that's not normally very important. That's more just to be complete. Okay, so if we have if we have the data that we need in order to give us a full campaign report and to make our boss happy and make sure that they know where the clicks from seaweed shaker fries are going, how do we do that? Well, we need a new tool. We need a new tool, and this one's called the Campaign URL Builder. Now, unfortunately, Google has stuck it in a different place than Google Analytics. And so I'm going to have to, hold on one moment. I have to figure out where it is right now. I used to have it right here. Where did I put it? Anyway, I'll get it and I'll put the link in the web. There we go. Campaign URL Builder. And I recommend going to this because, again, you never know when this is going to be useful. And if you actually type this stuff in, it may seem a little bit more sense to you. Okay, so Campaign URL Builder. Yeah, let me just switch over to it. There we go. So now you can see, let's see, there we have McDonald's. There we have campaign source. Maybe I would change that to, oh yeah. So this is, I'm sort of saying this is a promotion. Maybe I would put, maybe this would be for Facebook ad. And the campaign medium, I would put as social, whatever. Or I could say cost per click. It's going to be a paid ad from Facebook, and the campaign name is Samurai Burger. Now I type all this stuff in. What happens? What happens? How do I even use this stuff? Well, it turns out that when you scroll down, you will see what it does is it generates this super long URL. Okay. So that when you are putting an ad up, you have to use this, that people have to click on this to get to your site. And if they click on this, you are telling Google, yes, the click is from Facebook. Yes, it's cost per click, meaning it's paid. You don't have to worry about the detail right now, but that's what it means. But the campaign, that is what's important. It's a Samurai Burger click. And so you could have this at Facebook. You could have this on, sort of, I don't know, some news website, or let's just put website that you're paying for click. And then you would give this link to the website for the ad. Or if you had an email and we had a promotion email, you would then use this URL, promotion, email, Samurai Burger, in the email. And all the clicks from Facebook, from the news website or from other website where you're paying for clicks, from the email, they would all come into Google, and Google would still put on what channel they were from, but it would also collect what campaign they were from. Okay. So this way, then you could tell your boss, hey, it doesn't matter where the click, it doesn't care. Most people don't care about channels and all this other marketing nonsense. They just want to know, hey, we're running this big promotion for Samurai Burgers. How's it going? And without this information, you have no idea. You have no idea. Okay. So just to go back to my presentation here, just to show you what this looks like in reality. Well, it's you know, it's a mess. It's a mess. But right now, there's no better way to do it. And it's because all these things are very, what's called loosely coupled. They're only like they don't really integrate with each other very strongly, okay? You know, websites and search and social media, you know, it's not like there's just one big giant computer serving it out. There's like millions of computers out there, which are all working in different capacities and whatever. And so this is the weird way that we knit everything together. But the thing is, you don't have to worry about why and the wheres in the house. That's for web people to worry about. But as a marketer, you have to worry about, or an analyst marketer, you have to worry about this stuff working. And so there is some responsibility on the analyst to go, right, I need to know how this stuff kind of stitches together. If not, how to originate this and come up with this off my own top of my own head, to at least be able to recognize it and supervise it and say, hey, I do recall there is a way that that if we have campaigns running on search and social and somebody's website and email and whatever else, that we can link it all together. Okay. You can even put this in a QR code, right? You can even take one of these links, this display link, change Medium into QR code or whatever. When they QR coded it, they would then get it. That would be another way. And Google would record it as QR code. It wouldn't know what it meant or what to do with it, but it would record it. And then you would have another click from your campaign. Very useful stuff. And naturally, unsurprisingly, we have a report. Okay, Google has a report which allows you to do more channel analytics. You're still in channel analytics world. We're not looking at channels, but we're looking at called cross-channel, just to be interesting. Cross-channel analytics, where we're seeing, we don't care about the channel, we just want to know what the campaign was. And here we see Google's campaign. Data share promo, Google brand California, apparel, blah, 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 blah. All these different campaigns and all of the metrics around each of the campaigns. Okay? Users, bounce rate, how long people are on the site, and then of course the magical, what we really are looking at is the e-commerce conversion rate. So just to reiterate, we're going to do a little bit of an exercise, of course. Anytime you see a Google Analytics report, you can sort of get ready for an exercise. But I just want to reiterate how Google Analytics uses tracking codes, okay? So as an analyst, you will be asked to do things, for example, to make sure that campaigns are working. A lot of times, people who aren't analysts, they don't really care about this kind of stuff. And it's kind of done shoddily. They misspell the campaign names in the URL. They don't tag some stuff. You'll get a whole bunch of stuff that comes in with no campaign code on it. And so it's often done the analyst to make sure that the URL is tagged, that Google does. You saw the URL builder tool, so you don't have to worry about this, but the URL has these UTM things in them, and that the source, the media, and the campaign are correct. And if you really want to be diligent, you can put content in, but it's not necessary. Not many people do. Whereas if you don't, if it's not tagged, Google will still try and get the source medium, or it will generally successfully get the source medium, but you won't have a campaign. And the clicks will just be like any campaign. Okay. So you need to make sure the campaign is tagged in order to ensure that you know that the click is from the campaign. So Google works magic, but it can't work that much magic. Okay. So you need to tag it, excuse me, and then you'll get campaign analytics. All right. This next question, sorry, the next exercise here. Now, for some reason that I have no idea why, Google has decided to not run ad campaigns anymore, or it seems to have stopped them or slowed them down or something. Anyway, there's hardly any campaign data for our September period. So instead, I think what the question says, let me just have a quick look, is that we're going to have to change our date. Okay, so let me just do that really quickly with you, because again, I'm not so concerned about you guys learning how to use Google Analytics, but I want you to appreciate all the parts of it. So I'll instruct you very easily here. We are going to change it to from September 1st to September 30th. We're just going to click on the September 1st. And all we have to do is go all the way back here and just go January 1st. Okay, so now we're January 1st to September 30th, 2020. We click apply, and we'll be seeing a lot more data. Okay, and maybe you can appreciate how fast Google Analytics is. We're not going to need these segments, so I'm going to remove. I don't think we need a segment. Well, let me just check. I'm not going crazy. No, for the next three. Oh, yeah, we do need a segment, but not this one. Yeah, question 7, you'll need a segment. I sort of combined the two. I don't know why. Okay, so we have this January 1st to September 30th, and we are going to be in the all campaigns report, but I will let you guys find the all campaigns report using the trusty search. So let me just switch over to the quiz. Excuse me. And let me go and, you know what? Let me see if I can. Can I change the timing? Because I want to give it a little bit more time. It seems a bit short right now. There we go, timing. We put it at 3 minutes and see if that works. Okay, and so I'm going to go to the next one. It may, oh, it does. Okay, it looks like, well, it might work. I don't know. I'm going to go over to the next question here. And here we see all campaigns. Which campaign brought in the most revenue in all of 2020? And it is giving you, yes, 3 minutes. Okay, good. So even if people are feeling a little bit behind, spend a minute, get it sorted out, and try and figure out the answer to this one on your own. Okay. Okay, we seem to be doing good, so I'm not going to put any more time on. So you got, a little less than a minute, and we'll move on. All right, there we go. And shove in just a few seconds here. Have your guesses, throw them in. Okay, so a few guesses here. All right. So let's see what the crowd think. What did the crowd think on this one? We have the answers as Google brand California. All right, well, let's have a look and see how we found that out. Let's go over to my browser and we're going to search on the campaigns, all campaigns, because we want to see all the campaigns. Okay. And here are ones that Google has tagged. They have tagged them up and made sure that we see it. And we are looking from January 1st to September 30th. Interestingly, it shows us users here. I'm just curious to see when it's actually running these campaigns, but I don't see any information there. But what we want to do is we want to know from this period, January 1st to September 30th, which had the most revenue. So we make sure that our conversions are set to e-commerce, yes, and we click on revenue just to make sure it sorts it by that. And we see number one there is AW, Google brand, California. So the crowd was correct. Well done, well done. All right, next one, I'm gonna leave it at 3 minutes because it's a little bit more difficult, This is where I'm going back to segments. We're starting to think a little bit more deeply. So what was the e-commerce conversion rate for a particular campaign, okay, AW Apparel? And we wanna know what it was for mobile traffic, which is a segment. I give you a little hint there. And then again, all of 2020, okay? So let's look at that and see. All right, we're looking good. I'm not gonna put any more time on. It should be, people seem to be getting it. All right, excellent, good to know. All right, final answers in. Any final answers in? All right. And let's have a look here. Go back to the, what's the audience think? What does the crowd think? What was the e-commerce conversion rate for AW Apparel campaign for the mobile traffic segment over all of 2020? A reasonable question to ask. And we see that, just under 1% there, 0.96% is the suggestion. Let's have a look and see what we see in reality. We have the campaign page, exactly what we want to see. And we're looking at the AW Apparel. And we see the AW Apparel for everyone is 0.62%, but that's not what we want. We want to know what it was for the mobile traffic segment. Okay, we're doing our segment analysis on our campaigns. We're doing device, audience on campaign channel, combining. Boy, we're getting detailed there. It'll get even worse by the end. You should see that some of the questions at the end are ridiculous. And here we see that mobile traffic is a small part of the user base, right? Small part of the user base. But look down here. If we just have a little look for campaigns, it's almost all the revenue. Okay, so mobile is almost all the revenue. Small part of the traffic, almost all the revenue. And when we go down to AW apparel, and we look at mobile traffic, we can see the e-commerce conversion rate for that is 0.96, just like the crowd predicted. But all across the board, we see that mobile traffic is outperforming the all users on the ads. And so, what I'd say here is that either the ads are particularly appealing to mobile, or they should probably focus their ads on mobile and just forget desktop. I mean, some of these numbers are so big. It's Google brand California. We see it's 3 times the amount there. And so the returns from the ads on mobile traffic, it must be far better than that. So we look here for AW Google brand. We've paid for 3,580 people to come to the site. We've paid for 966 mobile users. However, almost all the revenue from that campaign is from mobile users. And so you might look at this and you might go, well, we need to boost up our desktop advertising abilities, maybe. Or you might stop throwing good money after bad and just go, we're just going to focus on mobile. And then you entirely focus your ad campaigns on mobile, which you can do on, I'm thinking, just about every platform. You should be able to do it, no problem. Okay. All right, so back to the quiz. And I have a last little tricky one. Well, anyway, first of all, let's see if they're right. And I have a last little tricky one that I'm just going to put here without comment. Maybe do I need to reduce the time on it? No. I'm going to reduce the time slightly. And I'm just going to put it here without comment and let you figure it out. What is the campaign term for in the campaign URL builder? Okay. Try to figure that out. All right, I won't give extra time. This one was just for fun anyway. Just for fun. I should have put a countdown. I should have put the points timer on it. Oh well. What is the campaign term for in the campaign URL builder? Well, I'll explain it in a minute, but I just wanted you to go to the site because there was no other need to go to the site. I can't make you do a thing, so I thought I'd put a quiz question in there just to get you. All right, good. Let's see what the crowd thinks. What does the crowd think? Crowd thinks it is to identify the paid keywords. Well, yes. Let's say we can have a look and see, and we're going to go to the campaign URL builder. And here we see the website URL, campaign source, campaign term, identify the paid keywords. Okay, maybe I put it in the notes as well. Oh well, maybe I slipped it in the stick it in there too. But really what the campaign term for is if you are sending traffic from another search engine or another site with search, and you want to make sure that you capture what the people were searching for before they came to your site, then you use this campaign term thing. You don't normally do it because if you use Google, if people click from Google, Google handles all of the keyword stuff. You never, the paid keyword or the keyword or whatever is all handled by Google. You have nothing to do with it. So you can't work with that at all. It's completely up to Google to send that keyword over. But if you worked with, maybe it's Bing. I don't know where you'd use it. Maybe it's like, if it's some anonymous search engine no one's ever heard of, then you could send that term over, and then Google would know not only, say what the channel was, what the campaign was, but would also know what they were searching for when they found the ad that they clicked on that came through on that channel. So you get sort of 3 layers deep of channel analytics there. Pretty impressive. Okay. Let's go back to the PowerPoint now. Oh no, let me go back to the quiz really quick and just go, hooray. There we go. Identify paid keywords. Excellent. And go back to our PowerPoint. There we go. And hold on. Let's talk a little bit about multi-channel attribution. How are we doing on time? We're good. We're great on time. Okay. This is a topic that is very, very popular with marketers, especially people at large companies and people who work at agencies, because it's something that is kind of new. I mean, it's the concept that's been around for a long time, but people are talking about it more and more as they try and get more data driven, because what they find is that the model that I've just shown you, which is basically channel to website to conversion point. Remember, it's channel like Facebook, website, which has all of your web content on it, then to some sort of conversion point where they buy or sign up. That's the normal, typical digital marketing model of the customer journey. Okay? That's the way people normally play it up. And this way, we can very easily attribute value to the different channels, very easily, because somebody comes in from email, comes to the website, comes to the online shop, buys something. We go, hey, email brought us in $1,000. Well done, email. Okay. So that's largely how things are. However, some people aren't happy with that. If you're a very, very large brand, or if you're trying to be inordinately clever, there's another way of looking at this whole picture. And that is that the customer journey doesn't happen bong, bong, bong. Instead, the customer journey takes a lot of time and has all sorts of twists and turns. And so here we have, for example, somebody comes in from social media to your website and they do nothing. Maybe they even bounce. Okay. Maybe they're looking for cat food and they see a cat picture on social media. They click on the cat picture on social media. They come to your website and they go, that's nice. They sell cat food. I don't care. Don't need it right now. Poof, gone. However, a week later, they open the cupboard's empty, and they need that cat food. Then they're going to go on Google and type, let's see, what was that? What was that site? Oh, yes, that was, I don't know, Malaysia's finest cat food. They'll be typing in something into Google, and they'll see your website come up, and they'll click on it, and they'll go to your website, and they'll go, oh, yeah, I remember these guys. Yeah, I'm definitely interested in buying cat food, but you know what? I need it immediately. And so, you know what? I'm just going to sign up for their email to make sure that I hear about their special offers. So next time I, can sort of plan in advance and make sure I have plenty of cat food in the cupboard. Then later on, the email people go, haha, we've got a live one here. He signed up for our email address. We're going to send him some special offers, and we're going to make it as, give him an offer that he can't refuse to buy 100 cans of cat food or whatever. And so they send an email out. The email goes to the guy, and he goes and makes a purchase. And though that's an extraordinary amount, let's say it's more like $90, whatever it is, whatever amount it is for the cat food. How do we attribute the value? Well, it'd be easy if you just ask all the people, ask the social media people. They'll go, well, if you ask me, we deserve the whole value of the transaction because we're the ones who found the customer first. If it wasn't for us, there wouldn't have been an email. sorry, there wouldn't have been a Google search, and there wouldn't have been an email, and there would have been no customer. So just give the money to us. If we ask the Google people and say, hey, Google people, who do you think we should give this $9,000 to? They would go, well, obvious, right? Social media, yes, thanks, but they didn't even do anything when they came in through you. We are the ones that got into the website, and we are the ones that got their personal details. We are the most important channel because we are the ones who help people find the site when they need something. So we need all the money. And then they go, email, what do you think about that? And email goes, no, thanks. Social media, Google, yeah, whatever. You got the information. Nice, very nice. However, I'm the one who sealed the deal. I'm the one who actually got the customer to come to the site and part with money. I should get all of the value of the purchase. So please give them a little bit, throw them a bone, throw them $100 each, whatever, but I'll take the rest. The remaining $8,800 should go to email because we're awesome and we actually know how to close deals. And if you think I'm being, I don't know, exaggerating this story a bit, hyperbole, I know of one very large electronics company who is everyone's very familiar with, who has exactly this problem. Email seals all the deals, but all of the traffic comes in through social. All the people initially do their research through social, they come back through Google, but email does all the business. And they have terrible fights between the different departments to the point where they don't even talk to each other very much because it's so irritating. They irritate each other so much on how the money is distributed. And the result is that, it's a constantly shifting political minefield because there's no real way to know which one really should be, how a value should be applied across different channels. Unsurprisingly, though, some people have thought about this problem. And they've come up with a big term for it called attribution modeling, where we want to come up with an idea for how we should spread out the value of a transaction when customers have hit what are called multiple touch points, okay? Meaning channels, Facebook, Google, email, they're all touch points, okay? In-store is even a touch point. Anything to do with the business, wherever they touch the business, I guess is a touch point. But yes, so we use attribution modeling as a way to agree beforehand how we are going to divide up that money so that after we have the big pile of money, we don't get into a big fight with each other. We sort of agree beforehand. Okay. And there's a number of ways to do attribution modeling. Number of ways. One is to just do last click. So here, for example, we have banner ad, paid search, organic search, all these touch points. But just like in our example before, email seals the deal. Get $100, email gets a whole $100 attributed to them. Now they may not actually get that money themselves, but they get attributed. They get credited and said, email, you've done a great job. Everyone else, you haven't done anything. Okay, that is last click attribution. Is you only look at the last click. Now that sounds terribly unfair. However, this is exactly what we've been doing all along in our channel analytics so far. We've only been looking at what the last click was. We haven't even considered that the person may have been to the website before and, clicked on something else. So it's very, very simple, very easy to use. It's the most instinctive way to do it, right? That they click from a channel, they go to the website, they buy something, you just attribute the channel. And so TBH, to be honest, everyone really still uses this as their way of attributing value. And it's important to attribute value. It is to do something, This is the easiest and simplest way and path of least resistance, what most people do. Now, there's some people have said, well, actually, if we're going to do last click, you could also do something like linear, where instead of paying the last person, you give everyone something equally. You give whatever touch point the customer got to, you would sort of just mark it down on their record. And then when they bought something, you would distribute that money equally. Okay. So it's kind of like, everyone's in it together. Banner ad, paid search, organic search, email, we all did it together. Let's all get the equal money, which is great, except for the fact that you probably are over investing in your middle tier here, and maybe under investing, certainly under investing in your first acquisition, and maybe also under investing in the person who seals the deal. So linear is good in theory, sounds great, egalitarian and all that. However, it doesn't always translate to the best way in practice. Instead, in reality, when you meet people who actually do this stuff, they will have what's called position-based attribution. And that will be, they will heavily weight the first click, they will heavily weight the last click, maybe 40%, maybe 30%, whatever, it's 25%. And then they will split the rest among all the channels in the middle. And this way, you're making sure you're investing a lot in your acquisition, you're investing a lot in sealing the deal, and you're making sure that your middle channels are not completely ignored. The only problem, as great as this is that it's very difficult to do because the data is very hard to get. It's very hard to know when people have come from different channels. And normally it takes a consultant, normally it takes, or a good agency who's specialized in this. And it normally takes a fairly large media spend because you can't track every single person. You have to guesstimate on a lot of stuff. And so it's better to guesstimate when you have a large media spend than a small. So what I've heard is that if you're spending 100,000 US a month, it's time to start looking at multi-channel attribution. Before that, you're probably okay with the last click. But it's there. It's something that people talk about. Maybe you work for a company that does 100,000 media buys a month, then maybe it's something to look at. Maybe it's something to look at. But anyway, regardless, we are going to look at it because it's something else that Google and Analytics can do for us. A slightly complicated tool. I'm not gonna lie here. And we're going to just try to use it as simply as possible. I have a few exercises so you can actually click on it. But what I do want to sort of talk through it because I think not necessarily that you're necessarily going to be doing multi-channel attribution modeling, but it is something to know. It is definitely a topic that people talk about in marketing analytics. It's something that has been explored. It's been talked about for many years. It's being explored a bit more fully now because some of the stuff can be done with machine learning. But still a lot of it is done manually. And so we might as well get to know something a little bit more about it, because it wouldn't be appropriate to just do channel analytics and just assume last click for everything, because the way that it's going, people want to know how to model a more complicated customer journey. And modeling a more complicated customer journey means attributing value to channels that aren't the last channel. Okay. So if you go to Conversions multi-channel funnels model comparison tool, and you can just type in model, I think, and you'll get it in Google Analytics in the search up at the top. You will see, hopefully you'll see, it'll complain, I think, at first that you have a filtered view, which is, don't ignore that. It just means that we're filtering some of the data, which is true because we're using Google's data and they filter some of it out. It's not, I don't know, it's not all there for us. But regardless, won't worry about that. Instead, let us look at what's here already. And we have selected, here I've selected one conversion type. Let me just check and see what this does as default, because I think the exercises are for all conversion types. Let me just double check this just to be sure. So we go down here. I'm gonna go to the shortcut model. There we go, model comparison. Kaboom. And conversions all. Okay, so let's keep it at conversions all so that we're doing the right thing. And I believe, I'm just going to check now. Yes, we can change our date back to, by the way, this is just a little bit ahead. Let's just change our date back to September 1 to September 30th. Okay. All right. And so anyway, so that's right. So now I feel good. So when we do the exercise, that's fine. I won't go back to this now. I'll just go back here. Okay. So we then get to see the conversions for each of the channels. So here we have, what we're saying is, okay, This is the last interaction model. So we start off with last interaction. And what we're going to do is we're going to compare it, but right now we're not comparing. We're just looking at one. When we open it up, we're just looking at one, last interaction, that's it. And here we see multi-channel funnel, MCF. Why they abbreviate that is ridiculous. But anyway, MCF channel grouping. So it says what channel grouping was the touch point? Direct, organic search, paid search. We only have 3 here. Okay. And channel grouping here is direct, and we see the last interaction conversions was 32, meaning that 32 of the conversions were direct. Okay, they came in direct and they converted. Then we see below that, we see organic search, 23. And that means that the last click on 23 of the conversions was from organic search. And then we see down here 3 for paid search. We see that there were 3 conversions where paid search was the last click. And the thing is, we don't really know anything more about it. We don't know anything more about it. We just know that that is at the last click. We're not considering what else happened. We don't care in this instance, in this model. Okay. And so, oops, sorry. That says that organic had 23 conversions, and there must be some revenue here. I think it got cut off. Anyway, no worries. So now let's do a comparison. What happens if we, instead of attributing it to the last channel, we attribute it across a few channels? What happens? Well, Google lets us do that. How does Google let us do that? Well, Google actually keeps track of everyone who comes to your website, okay? And it drops a little cookie on their browser, as I mentioned last time. And when they come back again, Google makes another note. So they go, last time they came direct, this time they came from organic search, and the time that they actually bought, they came from paid search. And Google can keep track of every single person who visits your website, how many times they've come, and what channel they came in on. Okay, pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. It keeps all this for you for free for every 10 million or whatever, 30 million websites, whatever there is. So what we're going to do is we're going to change the model. Well, not change the model, actually. We keep this one here as last interaction. That's fine. And then we're going to go over here and we're going to change it to linear. And we add the linear after versus. And then we will see the difference if we use a linear model and we use the last model. Question here, the tracking by Google is based on IP address. No, the tracking by Google is based on a cookie on your browser. So that can be problematic because if you change browsers, you appear as a different person. So it's not ideal. They are working on technology behind the scenes secretly for how they can track you across all your devices. But they haven't yet come out with that yet, as far as I know. I think they might do some work based on, because you sign into a Chrome browser. So if you're in a Chrome browser and you're going across different devices, different browsers, they can do some cross-device, but I don't know whether it's all working yet. Okay, cool. All right. Okay, so now we have the model comparison tool. Yes. Okay. And then what we do is we look at the difference. So here we have last interaction, which is what we started off with, comparing it versus linear. And so here we go. Direct. Remember, we had 32 conversions when we looked at it direct. In the linear model, we have 28.75 conversions. Well, that's weird. Well, certainly we still have the same amount of conversions that happen with direct. Yes, but we're reattributing some of the value of those conversions to the other channels that people went to beforehand. For organic search, it's the other way around. We had 23 conversions before. Now, magically, under linear, we have 27 conversions. Why is that? Oops. That's because organic search was a channel that people used before the direct channel. And so in a linear model, it gets credit, some credit for some of those conversions. And paid search, we had 3 conversions before, now we have 2. Well, that means, again, that one of those conversions had an assist. One of those conversions had people who had come to the site before, and then they came back with paid search. So paid search had to throw them a bone and give them some of the conversion juice. And we'll also see here that revenue as well, the value of the conversions have been changed too. Okay, So it's a little bit complicated. I get it. It's not the easiest thing in the world to understand. However, I'm just trying to introduce the topic that is very commonly talked about so that you're not completely in the dark. That, the channel to website to conversion point is absolutely hands down where everyone should start. Excuse me, I have a burp. Um, but if you have that down pat already, it maybe, and you're spending a lot of money on media, it's probably time to explore to see if some media is working as an assist. For example, social media and display tends to work as an assist rather than as a conversion. Oh, and then other things like paid search are getting so much credit for conversion, but really they're not the ones that are introducing the person to the product. And so maybe some of that money you're paying on paid search should be paid to do more display and Facebook type ads. And if you just want my opinion on it, I think that paid search is people spend way too much money on paid search and spend way too little money on display and social media ads. Because at the end of the day, most people who are searching on search will be, pretty much know what they're trying to get. And so probably can underbid on that. Whereas people who are just la 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 on the web and on Facebook, they need to be introduced to your product a little bit more aggressively. So there you go. Take it away. All right. Let's do a little exercise. Let's try this out just for fun. Why not? Why not? So exercise 8. And I'm going to go over the quiz things over here. And yeah, this is not going to be easy. This is not going to be easy. Okay. But maybe you can figure it out. Okay. Because you saw me do it before. You saw me just chuck it up there before. So let me just switch this over. I'm going to give you a bit of an extra minute since we are changing. We are changing a thing to changing the date and changing the report. So I'll give you a little extra. So just remember, it's model. Search on model to get the model comparison tool. That's where you're trying to head. Okay. So I should have put the report name in it, but anyway, there we go. Okay. So how many conversions are attributed to organic search with a last interaction model? So this is all conversions, obviously. How many of them can you attribute to organic search? Okay, my worries were misplaced. People are doing very well on this, so I'm going to let it run and end in a minute. So you got a minute. You got a minute. So have a go. All right, final answers in, final answers in. How many conversions are attributed to organic search with a last interaction model? Wow. Think about that. Just pause and reflect for a moment. What a complicated question that now you have some chance, some hope of answering, right? And some of it is just getting used to the lingo and the clicking around and the vibe of Google Analytics. And then, pretty soon you can answer a lot of different questions just off the top of your head. But let's see what the crowd thought. What did the crowd think on this? Oh, well, there we go. Almost unanimous there on $2,196. All right, let's go on very quickly just so everyone can see and appreciate. So back to this. So we had, 201,906 conversions. So this is total conversions. And we see right there, yep, okay, so organic search, 2,196 conversions on the last interaction model, okay? So that means we're here on the right site, we've got the right amount, the right date, and we're all in agreement on this. Okay, good, awesome. So now I can go to the next question, no fear. Well done, well done. Next question, no fear. And let me just, hold on one second. Let me just change the timing back to 2 minutes because I'm worried. I don't want to dawdle. I'm not a dawdler. All right. Next one, question 10. We have how many conversions are attributed to organic search with a linear model? So I'm just forcing your hand, making you have a look, Okay, doing well. So throw your last ones in. Throw your last answers in there. Okay, how many conversions are attributed to organic search with a linear model? What do you think? Do we think they'll gain? Is organic search going to gain by being more an assister, or is it going to be going to lose conversions? Well, let's see. What did our audience think? The crowd thinks, well, 2 out of 3 there thinks 2,338 and 49, meaning that it will be a gainer. It'll gain, meaning that there are a lot of assists. It helps other channels. Does organic search help other channels, or is it more helped? Well, let's have a look at Google Analytics here. And we're at last interaction model. We had organic search at 2,196 conversions. Let us let us add this, and we're going to look at linear. And we're going to see, hey, what happens if we start attributing value equally? We're starting to share and share alike, right? All the channels should share. You can just imagine the marketers all in a room trying to figure this out, and they're going, we should all be equal. Well, that's what happens when we're all equal. When we're all equal, organic search, they gain. And they do get to 2,338 and sort of 0.49, half a conversion there. Because organic search typically is something that people do, and then they convert on another channel. And I suspect, not entirely 100% sure, but I suspect a lot of it will be direct. So direct will get a lot of conversions after people have done an organic search. So they'll do an organic search, find the site, maybe they bookmark it. And if they bookmark it and they come back, then it is a it is sorry, if the bookmark come back, it is a direct conversion, but really organic search is the one that drove it. And so organic search would benefit a lot from a linear model. All right, you should be able to answer this one very easily, but I'll still give you a couple minutes just, and if look, if you answer this quickly, oh, first of all, I want to say yes, well done, crowd. If you answer this one quickly, it's fine. If you don't, try and get the answer to this one. Try and find it out. Try and actually, now that you've seen it, try and get the answer to this one. If you figured it out already, go and have a little bit of experiment with a couple of models and see if you can get some really wild differences between the models. But here we go. I'll leave it for 2 minutes, even though it's quite simple, but go for it. All right, so how do conversions attributed to direct change? What's the change to direct when you go from last interact to linear model? Last interaction should be, but anyway, regardless. All right, let's have a look here. 3 and 2, 1. Any last guesses? Last guesses. And let's see, what did the crowd think? What did the crowd think? There we go. All right. Crowd thinks it was 8.97 down. So I already did kind of point that out, that it was down, but yes, specifically negative 8.97. So let's go back to Google Analytics and see where we might see that. And what I'm going to have to do, I'm going to turn my head off because my head was blocking it right here. What we see there is direct went down from this amount to this amount. And we see that with the linear model, it lost a percentage change in conversions. It lost 8.97% in conversions. And I believe we can look at revenue as well. And we see percent change in conversion value. There we go. And so you can look at things in other ways. And so actually, if we change the model, we see that, and we look at it in terms of value, which is how much money the conversion brought in, we see that there's a much larger change if we go to linear in conversion value. And organic search gains quite a bit. Interesting. All right, good. I think that was pretty good. I'm surprised. I thought that would have been a lot harder for people to get their head around, but it seems that people were able to, anyway, they'll find the data. And this is the important thing of running these quizzes or these exercises, sorry. It's not that you learn how to use Google Analytics necessarily, although that's a nice byproduct, but it's much more that you know where to look for the data and you understand the data that you're collecting. Because, if you have to do channel analytics, it could be that you end up doing multi-channel funnels and doing multi-channel model attribution, and then it will be attribution modeling, and then it will be really useful to know that this tool is out there or something similar as well. Adobe, I think, is a similar model too. All right. So now we are going to move on to conversion analytics, which is a little bit more a little bit more left field, a little bit more out there than what we've been talking about already. And so, yeah, so we talked about audiences. Excuse me, we talked about audiences where we wanted to do the segmentation and we wanted to figure out how to improve our marketing by breaking down our audiences, seeing which one was performing well, which one wasn't. We had specific channel analytics where we wanted to look at sort of channel segments, and we also looked at the multi-channel funnel. We looked at campaigns as well. Another way of looking channels. So I guess there's different ways of doing this, right? We could look at one channel. Okay. We can look at many channels, which would be the cross channels or the campaigns, or we can look at multi-channel, which would be the attribution modeling. So one channel, cross channel, multi-channel. The three different ways of doing channel analytics. All of them equally good, not all of them equally used. Definitely the campaign one is the big one that people are do a lot of analytics on cross-channel to see how one particular campaign performed across many different channels. Channel agnostic, I guess they call it as well. But now we'll look at conversion analytics, because there's some things you can do beyond just improving your audience. You can look at your conversions and then try and fix them on their own without necessarily help from the audiences. So what I mean, that's what I mean. Okay, so segments, one way to improve conversion rates. So we've done this already. I moved my head back, there we go. We see the conversion rates for whatever that segment was, and we see that this one way outperformed that one. And so we want to improve this one and see what that one is. I'm sure this was mobile desktop and mobile. Somehow they got cut off. But it's not the only way. That's not the only way to improve conversion rates. It is a way. It is a very good way. It's a way I recommend. Definitely start with this. However, there are other things you can do. For example, with Google Analytics, because it's all done after the fact, we can find out, oops, I want to do that. There we go. We can look at what a converter looks like. We can apply a segment and say, hey, Google, don't show me the data of an age group or a gender or a channel or a device. Instead, show me only the data of people who converted. And then I'm going to poke around and see if they have something in common. So it's sort of like the other way around of looking at it, right? Because you either look at things where you have a before conversion segment and see how they performed, or you just look at, I want to see everyone who's performed and see if they're a segment. Okay, it's another way of doing the analysis. Okay, and as you might imagine, this is going to be pretty simple to what we did before. Pretty similar, say simple. It's not simple at all. What we did, similar to what we did before. We're going to go to audience overview. What is going on? All my slides are getting cut off somehow. I must have hit the wrong button somewhere. And we go to audience overview, or any report besides real time, not real time. Any report besides real time. And we're going to click on add a segment up here. And then we're going to get that little thing open here again. And what I want to do this time, I want to untick all users. I want to untick all users. And we're going to look at converters versus somewhere down here, non-converters. Okay. So let me just do that myself. And so I make sure everyone understands this for the exercises coming up. Let me go into my Google Analytics here. There we go. And I can probably turn myself back on. Hello. There we go. All right. So now I've got my Google Analytics open. And I'm just going to go to, you know what? I always go to audience overview. It's sort of my like homepage because it has a lot of different stats on here. And right now I have my all users segment and I have my mobile traffic segment, and I'm going to get rid of them both. And how do I do that? I just click on the segment and it opens up this box. I untick all users. I untick mobile traffic. I go to converters. I go to non-converters. Okay, so I got two selected there. We see them up there, blue and orange, and I click apply. Okay, now we have a view of the world of people who have converted and not converted. And we can filter this down. We can filter this down and we could say, I'm only going to look at people who converted in a particular way, like they bought something or they registered or they're an engaged user. But you know what? For our sake, we're just going to keep it as all converters because we're just kind of learning and exploring. So we don't have to be so specific. So I've got converters, non-converters here. There we go. And so I'm going to look at some of the data. And I see, well, interesting. We had 35,335 non-converters. Checking the date, September 30th, 1st to September 30th. Yep. And 6,000 converters. So we had almost, no, six times as many of non-converters as converters. Okay, that's nice. That's interesting, but that's not going to help me with anything. How about down here? Let's see if there's anything else here. Number of sessions per user. Well, non-converters only visited 1.19 times on average, whereas converters visited 1.97. Ah, there we go. There's something. Because converters means that they are more likely to come back. In fact, they came back at almost a rate of 2 times. Okay, so definitely people coming back seems to somehow be, it's related. It may not be causal, but we're just looking, we're just exploring, it's having fun. We're looking for related. Okay, good. Page views. Ooh, look at this. Even though there were 6 times as many non-converters as converters, there were not quite twice as much, so 1.5 times as much page views for converters. And converters, wow, look at that. Look how many pages per session versus non-converters. Time, spent a lot more time. And converters, well, hopefully they had a lot lower bounce rate. I'm not really sure how you would convert in bounce. Not sure. But anyway, we don't need to worry about the details. A lot of times Google will say, hey, sometimes the stats don't quite add up because, we're crunching millions of numbers here and some things might not add up here and there. So don't worry about the details. But let's just say the bounce rate was extremely low for people who converted. And yeah, and so here we go. See another one, new visitor in blue, returning visitor in green, and we see non-converters, very small returning visitors, whereas converters, very large returning visitors, or relatively large returning visitors. So we're able now to sort of figure out some new stuff about people who convert. They view a lot of pages. They spend a lot of time on site. These things are related, if not correlated. They may not be, one may not cause the other, but they are certainly have something to do with each other. Okay. And they tend to be people who come back to the site. Okay. So maybe we want to try and remarket to them and get them back to the site. If they view a pair of shoes on our site, we have to make sure that they never forget those pair of shoes, that it follows them wherever they go. Okay, so this is all I'm going to say about this. This is just an idea. This is this is one of my ideas for how we could do conversion analytics. We could improve our conversions by finding out, are there characteristics like, that of people who convert. Okay, so to just test our ability to do this, let's go back to the quiz. And let me just make sure, where are we on? We're on 2 minutes now? We're on 2 minutes now. That's fine. That's fine. And I have 1, 2, 3. Oh, I have 4. My goodness. All right. Anyway, it'll take us across. Hopefully, you have to have that segment, the converters and non-converter segment. So if you haven't done that, do it. And then we're going to answer 4 questions across all different reports. And don't worry, I give you the report to go to, so you don't have to really think all that much. It's just trying to get you to poke around and have a look. Okay. So let us go to the next one, number 12. Got 2 minutes. What was the average pages per session for converters from organic search? So you can't just use the data I gave you before. You have to get it from organic search. Okay. Ooh, it looks like people need a little bit more time. Let's see if I can do that. Let's see if I can figure that out. Oh, no, that's not what I want to do. I'll put it in 2 minutes. How about there we go. All right, let's try that. All right. What was the average page of sessions for converters from organic search? Hopefully, I give you some clue, little poking around there. And when you put the 2 different segments on, you get to see very different data, don't you? All right, let's have a look and see. What did the crowd think? Crowd thinks just majority thinks 14, and a smaller minority thinks quite a few less. Well, let's see. Let's have a look at our Google Analytics here. There we go. And I'm going to get converters, non-converters. Those are the segments. For those who are having trouble, you just click on that here, and it opens up this gray box. And you just click converters, and you click non-converters, and you click apply. That's it. And then you're viewing the data through the world of people who have done what you wanted them to do and people who came to your site and didn't do what you wanted them to do. Okay. So then let's go into our report that we were looking at. We wanted to look at acquisition, all traffic channels, or you can just type in channels at the top, sure. And then in this report, we see that organic search. We have converters and non-converters. We see that we had a lot of non-converters and a very few converters. And we see another huge difference over here in the pages per session. Converters had 1400 pages on average in their session, in their visit, which is a session. And non-converters had a measly 2.45. So it looks like the crowd was correct. Good, well done. All right, let's go around to our next one. Let's have a look at this. This is the all pages report. What percent, so you're gonna have to look for this one a little bit. What percentage of total page views were attributed to converters? What percentage of all page views are attributed to converters? All right. All pages, what percentage of total page views were attributed to converters? Let us have a look. All right, final answers. There we go. Let's have a look at the, what did the crowd think? Crowd thinks, ooh, slight majority there at 62.02. 62.02. Let's have a look and see. We want to go to the all pages report. And that is down here in behavior. Site content, all pages, or just search at the top, all pages. And then we're going to look to see what percentage of all the page views were attributed to converters. Okay, so to give us a good stat, we got to know. So we know, we could see how many users on another one, but here we want to know page views. How many page views? Well, we see 172,156 in total, 105,430 for non-converters. And what that means is that we see in this little gray stat here, it gives us a percentage of the total, okay? So something to notice in a lot of these tables is Google puts little numbers kind of everywhere in light gray, and those typically mean the percentage of the total. So down here, this is the percentage of the total of 277,586. But down here, we see 15,069 page views for this quick view page. This is 8.75% of this total, okay? So of, not of, oh, let me see, is that right? No. Oh yeah, percentage of the total. So 2.667. Calculator, I don't want to mislead you, but I'm pretty sure I was right on that one. 15,069 divided by 172,156. Yes, okay, so yes. So when it says here, this is not, this is a, sorry, the one here, the 8.75 here, and it's gonna be pretty tiny in yours, but anyway, 8.75 here is this percentage of, this is that percentage of this total here. Yeah, that's right. Don't know why I doubted myself, momentary lapse of reason. But this number here is the percentage, sorry, this number here is the percent total, that of the total page views and all. So it means that converters viewed 62.02% of the page views in total, which means the crowd was indeed correct. Well done, crowd. Well done, well done. All right, moving ever on. So make sure we finish. We're going to have lunch at 1, or whenever we finish this, we'll go for lunch. But I shouldn't be any later than 1. Well, let's go on to the next one. We have how many more? 1, 2, just two. All right. What was the mobile converters? What was the mobile converters? What was the mobile? Oh, so we go to mobile overview. Okay, what was the mobile converters e-commerce conversion rate? Okay, so yeah, converters should have been capitalized there. That's what's confusing me. But we go to mobile overview, and what was the mobile converters e-commerce conversion rate? There we go. All right, how are we doing here? How are we doing? Oh, something a little bit of a problem with this one. All right, so let's go through this one because this one's a little bit complicated. I probably should have Give you a little bit more clue here. Let's have a look and see. First of all, how did the crowd do? How did the crowd do anyway? So we have 2 out of 3. 2 out of 3 say 2.17%. Okay. Now, what does this mean? What was the mobile converters e-commerce conversion rate? Ugh. And so the converters should have been capitalized because that was a segment. That was how I was doing it before. So let's go back to Google Analytics. And we have converters and non-converters, right? And we're told to go to the mobile overview. So if we just type in mobile, we see mobile overview. We can go there. Now, what we have to remember here in this instance is that converters is all the conversions. It's the people who registered. It's the people who were engaged users. It's the people who entered checkout. It's all the converters. And so people who converted under one thing would probably, maybe, I don't know, perhaps be more likely to convert on another, which is the e-commerce conversion. Okay, so we've set up converters here as one of the segments. And we have to make sure that we have e-commerce conversion rate. And we see that for mobile, non-converters are obviously 0, probably not very interesting. But we do see that people who have converted on something are more likely, or a lot more likely than the site average to convert. Sorry, the site average was, I think, something like 0.21 or something. Anyway, much more likely to convert. So if you convert on being an active user, engaged user, a registration, you're a lot more likely to convert to do an e-commerce conversion as well. A little bit complicated there, a little bit complicated, but it's something you might look at. You might look at, okay, we have an engagement goal where we want people to view 10 pages, or we have a video we want people to watch, and that's a goal. Or we have a registration for an email, and that's a goal. Are people who do this small act, called a micro conversion, likely, more or less likely to buy things later, or the same likely? And you can create a segment out of their behavior. It's one way to do a segmentation, is one way to improve conversions is to create a behavior segmentation. And you give them some task. Okay, and the task can be important, like you get their email address, or it can be trivial. It could be that they download a white paper or watch a video, or they arrive at some particular page. Some people will measure, if people arrive at, I don't know, our values page or something, are they more likely to convert or not? And then you can create that behavioral segment and then decide in. So here we have, were people who converted in one way or another more likely to convert on e-commerce? And indeed they were, 2.17%, quite a high conversion rate compared to the site average. So other smaller conversions were a good indicator that they were going to convert on big things, which is buying something, the e-commerce conversion rate. All right, last one, and then we'll take a break. Go back to my quiz, here. Okay, well done, crowd got it anyway, even though I didn't. I probably cut you off a bit early. Okay, here's an interesting one, and I'll do this without comment. I'll let you look for the details, because this is important details that you can look for. What percentage of converter transactions could be attributed to any age group? So have a look and see what you find. All right, people seem to be having a little bit of problem with this. Let me just add a little bit of time on, just so that no one is left behind. Hold on 1 second. Let me just do this. There we go. Couple minutes. Okay, doing good, looking good. And throw your answers in. Couple coming in there. All right. Don't worry, won't leave without you, but I'm gonna have to close it now. All right, let's see. How did our crowd do? What did our crowd think anyway? Thanks. 9.43%. Wow, that's a low number, right? So again, this could actually give you some insight into the data that you have in Google Analytics. So we'll go back to Google Analytics here, and we're going to be looking at age. How do we find age? Let's have a look. Maybe we just type in age. Ah, there we go. Lovely. Age. Beautiful. Okay, so now we have converters, right? And we are looking for, is it e-commerce transaction? Let me just go back to where's the question? Okay, what percent of converters transactions, which is e-commerce, it should be e-commerce, but anyway, could be attributed to any age group. And if we look down here, we see that, look, we have 82% of our transactions are attributed or something. 6.7 are contributed. Well, no, actually, that's just to the total up here. And so the real problem is that this number here, 387.50 for converters, is only 12. Sorry, we're looking at numbers. Sorry, we had three transactions here, one transaction there, and we see, look, we have 5 transactions in total. But if we actually look at the data, we see that, look, only 5 out of 53 were attributable to any age whatsoever. The rest would be unknown. Now, as I mentioned yesterday, Google has decided, for whatever reason, to not include unknown as a category, which would make this absolutely clear. However, because they haven't, we have to look for it. And we see there that Google is not doing a very good job right now of attributing value to age. And so we might want to be a little bit suspicious of things like age. I suspect it is similar for gender. Let's just have a look here very quick. That if we want to count the number of transactions that are attributed to a particular gender, we see 6 out of 53, slightly better than age. But Google is not doing very well at coming up with what is called third-party data that we don't have and we can't get, but Google is letting us use by being nice. And we're only able to get third-party data for 10% of our transactions. And so maybe it's not really all that useful, is probably what I would say in the end. So back to the crowd, and the crowd got that correct. Well done, crowd. Well done, crowd. And let's look at the multi-game rankings. How are we doing here? We see Fish Stargazer at number 1, Angel Stargazer has pulled ahead into number 2 with Flower Tamer at number 3. Oof, we're going to have a tough battle there in the afternoon going on. A few questions left, and then I have a cutthroat quiz at the end, which will be a fight to the death, I'm sure. All right, in the meantime, though, let's have some lunch. And what we'll do is we will go, I think what we did yesterday worked very well, very easy. Instead of having the timer, we'll just come back at 2. How about that? Okay, and I'll put a timer near the time. That'll show us to make sure everyone can keep one eye on it. All right, that's great. Thanks everybody for your participation, and we will see you back at 2 p.m. Thanks very much.